Hello everyone, myself Dr. Babita Parachar. I am working with Faculty of Education and Humanities at Manav Rachna University, Faridabad. In this module, we will be studying together inclusion in science classroom and curriculum transaction. I'll take you for a walkthrough through the module content. So we'll start with an introduction for diversity and inclusion. We'll introduce ourselves with some inclusive vocabulary. What do we mean by an inclusive classroom? Adaptations in an inclusive classroom, accommodation versus modification, and some empathetic practices as a takeaway for the session for a very effective inclusive teacher. Diversity literally means differences. So when we say that India is unity in diversity, by that we mean that there are different caste, creeds, religion, cultures which exist in India. So that is what we mean by diversity. So differences in culture, language, gender, appearance, social and economic status, abilities, by abilities I mean physical, social, creative, intellectual, our values and belief system. So diversity has a very wide bandwidth or forum which ranges from our cultures, which are broad, to our beliefs, something which is very personal to an individual. So each classroom has embedded diversity in learning abilities, emotional strength, which may not be visible but exist. So as a class or as a class teacher, when I say my class is diverse, it is diverse in terms of what can be perceived, which can be seen, gender, language, ethnicity, religion, and something which cannot be seen but I know as a teacher, which is in terms of the learning styles, intelligence, perception abilities, creativity, so on and so forth. When we talk about inclusion, inclusion refers to a framework within which all children can be valued equally, irrespective of the diversity we just discussed. So irrespective of your religion, irrespective of your intelligence, irrespective of your beliefs, value system, if you are valued equally, my system is inclusive. You are treated with respect, you are being provided with equal opportunities at school. Why at school? Because we are discussing in terms of inclusion as a curriculum aspect. It is a philosophy which accepts all children, involves everyone, and assumes that everyone belongs. I am a science teacher to a gifted child. I am a science teacher to a slow learner. I am a science teacher to different religions and belief systems. So then then we are an inclusive setup, or we are an inclusive classroom if we ensure all these parameters of inclusion. Now at a glance, from integration to special school, we are discussing all these terms so that when we come and discuss about inclusion in a science classroom or inclusion in curriculum transaction, we understand that what are the various pillars or what are the various systems which exist other than an inclusive classroom. So the one system which exists is then integration. So the persons with disability is accepted into a normal ordinary school but is often taught in a separate classroom, which is also called as a pull-out. So am I inclusive? So I have separated them within that setup. I am a special school, which is a dedicated school for children, people with disabilities, with specialized curriculum and professional. So if I give you a small example here, there is a school here for children with visual impairment. So there is a special school for persons with disabilities of hearing impairment. So there is a specialized curriculum in which we work, there are dedicated specialized professionals who teach them. That's a special school. So if I just explain it, so there are persons with disabilities and there are normative children in the classroom. So separation is that we are not providing any avenues, any opportunities for them. So persons with disabilities are separated or excluded from access to resources and opportunities. So there is one pool for whom all the opportunities are made available, and there are everybody else who are not normative in the bracketed terms. And then we come down to something which we are aspiring to be: inclusion, acceptance, and aligning access to resources and opportunities. Equal access, equal opportunities to everything. That is an inclusive setup. Now again, which as I just shared, that in the initial few slides of the module, which we will be acquainting ourselves with the vocabulary, which is very loosely used interchangeably, and when we are not being sensitive, not being deliberately insensitive, but because of our limited knowledge about that. So now we talk about impairment. So any loss or abnormality of psychological, physiological, or anatomical structure or function. So impairment is something which is related to body, visually impaired, hearing impaired, fine. Then we talk about disability, any restriction or lack of ability to perform an activity. So because of this particular disability, if I am not able to perform some activity, then it is a disability, it is not an impairment. Handicap, and disadvantage for a given individual that limits or prevents the fulfillment of a role that is normal. It is how society perceives it. Okay, like if you see somebody on a wheelchair near a movie theater, so your stare towards them would communicate that you have a feeling of not including them as a part of equal. So handicap is how society perceives an individual. It has nothing to do with my ability, it has nothing to do with whether I'll be able to perform it or not. So handicap is purely societal in that approach. Impairment, if I just elaborate on that, so abnormal organ function, delayed speech and language development, joint stiffness, imbalance, it's an impairment. It can be age bound also. Disability, limitations in performing activities, so inability to speak clearly, to be understood. Stammering is also one which qualifies under disability. So inability to perform everyday activities like walking, dressing on my own is a disability. Handicap, where I have a restricted participation, as I just shared, which is by the societal notion. So defective communication, dependence, immobility is categorized under handicap. Examples of some impairment is a child born with cerebral palsy. If I give an example here, we just had a Bollywood movie which was Zero. So the female lead in that movie is suffering from cerebral palsy. A young soldier losing his leg in a terror attack is an impairment. A middle-aged woman losing eyesight due to diabetes, impairment. An old person with dementia, an impairment. Now major impairments which exist in a classroom, when we talk about a inclusive classroom, like we just discussed some impairments which are age bound. As a science teacher in a school setup, I might not come across those impairments, but the major impairments which is very high probability you would come across in your classroom are visual impairment, which can be partially visually impaired, hearing impaired, locomotor impairment, mental retardation, and learning disability. So these impairments which we discussed are visible. You can see if somebody is hearing impaired. You can by see I mean that you would get to know. A visual impairment you will get to know, locomotor you can see, but there are also some disabilities which are not that clearly visible, but we cannot undermine, they do not exist. And these disabilities or these persons with disabilities, there is a very high probability when we are going for an inclusive setup tomorrow, you come across in your classroom. So some people have disabilities that you can't see right away. So people with dyslexia often have a hard time with words and reading. Again, I would remind you of another movie here, Tare Zameen Pe. So the child lead there is suffering from dyslexia. Then kids, children with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder, may have trouble staying focused. Not every very active child is ADHD, a small mention here. Now modern India, when we are heading towards, so there are constitutional amendments, our legislature is getting very stringent and sensitive towards persons with disabilities. That's why we moved from Viklang to Divyang. So change in vocabulary, change in accessibility norms, rules. So modern India is a sensitive, awakened India. Establishment of Rehabilitation Council of India, RCI, a dedicated unit for persons with disabilities as well as the professionals who they say would be dealing with them. So there is a revised vocabulary for persons with disability. The National Trust Act, again a supreme body which takes care of them, and a dedicated Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. Now an inclusive classroom. We just shared that India getting very awakened and a sensitive country where the legislature is in place. But when we talk about an inclusive classroom, what all needs to be in place is our concern. A sensitive teacher, a teacher who understands that you might need me little more than the other students in my class, and this need of yours for me may vary on different parameters. A teacher who is not only empathetic, a teacher who is compassionate also, who says that I understand how you feel and I will also ensure equal access to you. So I will not get pity or sympathy, I will earn or I will facilitate empathy and compassion for you. So that's the beginning of an inclusive classroom. A buddy, a fellow student group who takes pride in being a facilitator. So I am the guardian of this, my fellow who is a specially able child. I take care of him. So that accountability, if we are able to inculcate in our entire classroom and at school at large, we are inclusive. So inclusion is not a word or right extended by constitution, it's an attitude. So I very recently attended a seminar where a very senior person in the area of specially abled was sharing that the beauty of our system is we talk about inclusion with complete exclusivity. So if we talk about inclusion, in exclusion, how do we aspire to create inclusive school or classroom? So that is something which was a big takeaway for me that day, and that is what I wish to share with you all. So a sensitive teacher who has sensitized the entire system is the onset of an inclusive classroom. Now practices in an inclusive classroom: adaptation, accommodation, modification. As science students, we usually use these terms interchangeably. I'll elaborate on that. But when we talk about an inclusive classroom, all the three terms have their different meanings and they should not be interchangeably used. So I'll start with adaptation first. As science students, we know we talk about adaptation. So we teach our students different adaptations in succulents, we talk about different adaptations in animals, we talk about adaptations in different organisms, which is a mode to survive better. So if a succulent or a desert plant has reduced the leaves or the stem has become fleshy, so the idea is to survive better. But it is not the same in terms of an inclusive classroom. I'll elaborate on that. So in an inclusive classroom, adaptations are of two types. So one is accommodation. By accommodation, it means that you do not fundamentally change the work standards or lower expectations in either the instruction or assessment phase. So I'll further simplify it that when I say that as a teacher, what are the accommodation practices? So I am not saying that you lower your level of expectation from children with special needs, or children from different communities, or children with different ethnicities, or children with different beliefs. When I say accommodation, the objective is that you try to make your teaching suited for differentiated learning, for different learners in your class, with the outcome intended the same. So that is accommodation. When I say modification, I understand that this is one challenge with my student. This particular student is brilliant with his reading skills, but his computational skills are not at par. In that case, I would try to revisit the curriculum or the expectations. So, modification is adaptations that alter or lower standards or lower expectations so that that child is being taken care of. So, if a child is not very good with the mathematical or computational skills, I would try to facilitate a calculator. So, in that case, the memory load I am reducing, still the skill or the computational competency will be achieved. So, that is the difference between accommodation and modification in very briefly which is there. So, what are the various adaptations which we can do in an inclusive classroom? So, we will begin in different ways which we can alter. So, the first one is that let your students work in a group of 3. It's just a small example when most of our classmates are working in groups of 4 or 5. If there is a child who is a special child, who may be ADHD or who has other ailments which are there, and working in a bigger group might be a challenge considering his or her social development. In that case, you can always accommodate and make the group smaller. The outcome intended remains unchanged. Have your student team up with a peer partner when most of his classmates are working individually? So, this is a smaller provision where you are just trying to supplement the learning. So, a peer tutor, we will also be discussing peer tutoring in detail towards the end of the module. So, where you have given individual tasks to rest of the students, for some of the students you have facilitated them with a peer tutor. Add variety to a small group work when most classmates are working in students. So, they are working individually, they are working on a small projects, you are not needed to assist them. For this group where you think they still need your help, you can just sit with them, make a circle time, support them, facilitate them and take them gradually to whatever the outcome you are intending for this group. So, these are the adaptations which we can do in an inclusive classroom. We can also alter the physical or the social environment. So, by physical and social environment means that there is one child who is not comfortable sitting on the desks which are being provided in the classroom. So, maybe because of the height, maybe because of other locomotor disabilities, you need to be flexible enough to give them that liberty to select where to sit. So, choice of sitting on desk or table can be provided. Away from window if child is too sensitive to sounds. So, as children, this was a very basic thing which we would do, that we were traveling, we would try to sit on the window seat. If we are the first few ones to come to the class, we would try to sit on the window side through which we can see the playground. So, if you are aware that there is a child who gets very easily distracted, you try to make them sit away from the window. If some visual challenges you are facing from your student, you can make them sit closer to the blackboard. By making them sit closer to the blackboard, you would be able to pay more dedicated attention to this group of students. At the same time, you are also trying to rule out the distractions while sitting away from the board or while sitting away from you. Now, alter your methods and materials. So, first one was that you change the setup. The second is the seating arrangements which is there. The next one which I think that alter your methods and materials, where you are asking most of the students to write an essay. You can ask them to draw. At times the students are very good with their creative expressions in terms of pictorial one. So, you can incorporate more visuals to present your content in different ways, such as maps, pictures, drawings, objects or videos. The more stimulus variation you give to the students, the more you are trying to ensure their attention, the more you are also trying to ensure that this attention is gradually converting into the learning which we all intend to be in a classroom. Use graphic organizers to arrange key points in a way students can easily grasp. Like once I visited this classroom And there was this child who had some speech articulation concerns. So what this teacher has done, this teacher had a key ring. In this key ring, they had small pictures being laminated and put. So if the child has to use the washroom, they will just show that picture. If the child is getting uncomfortable, they will show that picture. So this way the teacher has arranged a graphic organizer and was also ensuring that the child communicates what he or she wished to share with the teacher or the caretaker in the class. Now make content easier by giving your students enhanced text. If there is a child who is visually impaired, there are dyscalculia students also. By dyscalculia means that when they are copying some numbers from the blackboard or when they are copying numbers from the sheets, they try to mix, which is not intentional. So for them we can have color code. So every alternate line you can color code. So one line you are writing on the board with the white chalk, the other you can write with the red one, then you can write with the blue one. So they at least know that I was in the red line. I need to ensure which is there. So these are the different things where which we can enhance. So when you are taking print of their assignment sheets or their question papers, you can take it in a bigger fonts, in a different text size. So these way, by little changing your methods and materials, you're going to support and facilitate them. Ample use of technology. If you check your phone settings, there are a lot of assistive technology options which are there. Widely use your phone to facilitate the learning in the classroom. Alter the task or the process. So you change the physical environment, you change with the material to what we are expecting from them. So at times you are giving them oral instructions, next time give them recorded instructions. They will be getting used to hearing more patiently to that sound, because as a teacher they can always request you to repeat it. But if it is an audio, it will be played once. So you can also change. You can give the instructions in the written form. You can give instructions in pictorial forms. Instead of writing an essay, your students could demonstrate understanding by completing a chart. So give a half chart, ask them to complete it. Developing text to speech presentation, creating an outline. You are giving them different opportunities. When we talk about multiple intelligences, so there will be students who are very good with their kinesthetics, their linguistics. If you ask them to write, they cannot write a word. If you ask them to explain, they can go on. So you can always revisit that how you are, what task you are putting them on. Your students can receive the same worksheets as the rest of the class, but you can align them that today you will only do the odd numbered questions or you will only do the even numbered questions. So this way you are reducing the load on them and still ensuring they are completing the task. They can create posters, they can draw maps, they can instead of giving them detailed written assignments, explore what they are good at and try to accomplish the same learning outcome with an altered strategy. Alter the level of personal assistance. Peer tutor, as I was just discussing. So peer tutor is a fellow, same age group, same class, but where you understand that this fellow classmate has a mastery over the content or the skill to be taught. So have the peer tutor model the steps. If you are expecting them to perform a task, the peer tutor can first demonstrate and this student can perform it after that. Encourage your peer tutors to give additional prompts. Something which we discuss in a skill of reinforcement also, a smile, a pat, writing the correct answer, correcting, smileys, very good. So these are some of the ways where you can motivate your some students with special needs to be more participative and motivated to the work. Ask the peer tutors to give the student immediate feedback and additional encouragement. Here you would be working on two individuals. So there is one whose content you are working and on the peer tutor the social skills and the emotional intelligence you are working. So that is how you have two benefits when you alter the level of personal assistance in the classroom. Some more accommodation activities which we can do is that to limit math skills to concepts only. If we understand there is a child who struggles with numbers, maybe a brilliant with his reading skills, equally brilliant with the writing skills, but when it comes to numbers, they gets confused. So in that case, instead of giving too much of load on oral calculations, you can facilitate by a calculator. When you want some deadlines to be met for the whole class, you are giving once reminder that 5 minutes left or 2 minutes left. For this child, you can just walk up to them and give them some additional reminders to complete their task on the time. You can organize activities into small chunks. Assignment of 5 questions which are all essay types can be demotivating. I get intimidated that I have to do so much, and at the onset itself I would lose all my interest. So you can divide that whatever activity is being done or to be done into small chunks, that we will finish only question number 1, and then you can come to me, or you can just go and take a round in the class and tell me who all have finished your question number 1, come back to me. So this is how you would be able to sustain their interest for a little longer time. Divide, chunking of the task. A multisensory approach, as we just discussed, as Howard Gardner also shared in his theory of multiple intelligences, that the more number of senses you would involve, when you are talking about something, when you are teaching them about the taste or the various components of food, you can actually make them taste. You can actually ask them to bring something to the classroom. You can take them to the aromas, what comes to the kitchen when they come back, when they go back home. So a multisensory approach is going to do wonders in ensuring the learning of the classroom. And as we say, that science is all about involving as many senses as you can. So these altered approaches to task, methods, physical approach will ensure the science curriculum transaction in a very, very effective manner. Now, empathetic practices, in addition to these approaches, there are some takeaways from the session, that you practice pronunciation of students' name. As a teacher, which takes some time, because we teach 5 sections of 40 students each, I would be struggling to call them by names. But the biggest motivation for a student, for any student in that case, but in particular for children with special needs, is that my teacher remembers my name. She calls me by my name, means a lot. Have an eye contact with every child at least once in a teaching or non-teaching slot. I recognize you, that you belong to me. So that eye contact, at times when the children who are struggling with their social development deliberately avoid eye contact, they would narrate the whole story without even looking at you once. So make them look at you. That would also make sure that when they are performing any experiment in a science classroom, or when they are into an activity, they would have sustained interest in that process. Celebrate culture in the classroom. One big way of inclusivity is that any festival, we just celebrated Onam, Pongal, Sankranti, another festival chain is being lined up. We have Christmas, we have other Easters are coming up, we have Guru Parab coming up. So in your classroom, make celebration of culture a culture. So when you celebrate different cultures in the classroom, acceptance is high. I identify you beyond your cultures and religion, ethnicities. So, and the same way, we need to integrate culture in the curriculum also. Advocacy for diversity and equality in the school displays which is there. A very small example here when we talk about inclusion, that whenever a guest or a chief guest is coming to the school, so usually the girls are put on the tika duty or the welcome duty. Just try to change that. So it is not about being gender biased, it is also about that as a male member of the school, I would not get my pictures clicked with the chief guest. So advocate diversity and equality in the school displays also. Allow students to have a choice of seat, a choice of partner, a choice of which chapter we should start next. These small choices would make them more involved instead of a very stringent, detailed, descriptive ones. So let us class decide today that which science chapter we should start today. There are 5 topics in this. We have evaporation, we have condensation, we have sublimation. Let us see that which topic I should start with first. Give them liberty, give them choices. Encourage polite questions when curious. As a teacher also, since we have all Google sitting in our classrooms, we do not have answers for all the questions all the time. Be polite enough to receive the questions. Be gracious enough to share that I'll come back to you tomorrow with the answers. That is how you would encourage their polite questions. Their curiosity will be sustained, and they will be going on with that. So with that, we would just wrap up for this session. So the points which we take away from this session is, we started with diversity. A classroom diversity ranges from our cultures, our beliefs, my gender, my language, my religion. With all these diversity also, if I am provided equal access to opportunities, if I am provided equal access to all the things which is made available to a classroom, my classroom is inclusive. Inclusive classroom begins with a sensitive teacher. A sensitive teacher who ensures that each fellow beings is equally accountable for these children who would need a special care, a little care from everyone around. Science curriculum and inclusive classroom is being woven around observation. So the more observant your students are, the more inclusive your classroom gets. So that is another aspect of it which is there. We have discussed a few things which we can do in a classroom. We can make instructions differentiated to ensure learning across different forums. We can get back to Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, apply multiple sensory approaches in our classroom. I need to know that this set of students cannot sit in my classroom. As a plan, as a lesson plan, let me give them opportunities to come, erase the board, pass me some things, and that sensory breaks would ensure that their attention span is little longer than them. Make them just sit away from the window seat for one day. This would also give them that break from getting very easily distracted. So with that, we wish you, being an inclusive teacher, all the way happy learning, and thank you.